Wow!
What the hell?
사!
You sure stood up quick. Yes. Almost. Almost. Everything. And we wanted to track the time and at Rochester of technology is also one of the getting fonts. It's a series of ThinkPad fonts. Symbols are used for letters. Very notable as the start. Times several antics. And it is also the preferred method of one W. Caster. Caster has not been and that just because Caster has uttered how much that would now obsolete. I say no. If there is that but it was. This wasn't just some quirky way that Caster let press. All that translate uttered. That would be crazy, right? I mean, it's not like you can characters and actually out them. Right? All things.
fuck is going on?
All of them, that information, always, others tell us. So again, and welcome to the week Hyper Review. Today, some call me a madman. Others will resent my madness, because it is so much fun on the side of the wall. I'll let you decide whether you join me. Today's theory comes with a couple of disclaimers. Theory is all about patterns. Patterns found with text fonts. While there are reasonable patterns for most main characters, like you can't just random description of that character. I will also let you know up front that this theory is not necessarily probably that you did, but just don't get your hopes up for a massive plot review. Like a fun little ride that people quite the opposite matters. Ever since the release of chapters and the episode before content, the characters and prophecy began on that website was titled Taking That Image.
God, what the fuck happened with my controller there?
That is presumably how the website was. Read aloud to point is, when that message there or not, if waiting for base fonts are naturally covered filtering as our anchor point. All of the random images actually don't you think that there's a odd goes in the first place? And when at least it's consider patterns. For example, every major boss in Delta and called crossbow. Notice lies death.
Not again.
Not only of every single name. Here was supposed to be longer, however, due to time restrictions, I had to cut it down. Today we'll be covering Rousing, and some of the villains. Okay. Test for this theory validity. This example was talent that we would hear right now. Chris is like expression, solar symbol, and water droplet. Chris has always carried expression. Take the protagonist, typical RPG. They are the plain, unwilling avatar, our vessel which interact with the world. My understanding of games is that the avatar show which reality on. That's not how this works. And time again, they have shown us that their motivation is not aligned with ours. Chris has been described as stoic in the past. Tried to commandeer life, they were not the most outgoing. Fortunately, that they could that's what notice close childhood friends. Chris is trapped inside their own body. They are absolutely type of way about this situation about it. So they like depression. Other characters have referenced most notably and alone. Do you have facial expressions? We just don't get to see them. Sun symbol would have meant nothing to us in the past. However, with chapter 4, we can say for sure that the sun symbol is represented by light. As in Delta prophecy, the sun represents Sagittarius. The first panels of prophecy tells us that there was a world vast in light. See what I'm talking about? Look at this context 1 and chapter 2. Then, oh, wow, look, the sun. But now, with the added context of chapter 4, that sun suddenly something, but always something. The presence of the sun is a
What the fuck is going on with my fucking controller right now?
The hand is also something that wasn't obvious at first. Now, totally agree when you type in 5 into the teleport empty void, and when you finally find this gumball machine,
There's no way this controller's already broken.
The default name for Podium is RS. This really loses time, losing along with other mentions of why a lot of people that they might lose their hand. Personally, I'm not really a fan of Chris's hand. I think they enough and I play the piano when it's over. And is a setup for a very touching Chris's play the piano. Play with the hand that Chris lost. Honestly, that might make up for it. But I would rather if you don't buy into the shadowing like me, then take the handing of the hand into account. And is represented of one film on the world. Character has a story. And I mean, like, literally, every character handed hand can write with a hand, and is used in the art world, and is create fiction, hands are past has one. Finally, have a droplet of water. I will absolutely has darkness. Only two dark fountains flow from the ground like water, literally called fountains, but also darkness they spawn also have water-like properties. Friend, Rouse all carry formless nature with them, as in their physical form is normal. Rouse can fill an entire horse costume by himself while even, whatever this is. Again, circle back to the prophecy. First we see the presence of light and darkness. Chris has darkness inside them, figurative darkness. Cited as a prankster, well, players in the town choir. Behaviors are not necessarily good, but that doesn't mean Chris is inherently evil. There are qualities to them that make them disruptive, just as there are qualities that make them nice and compassionate. The presence of darkness and light in Chris is one of the many references to Taoism. Taoism is a philosophical religion which emphasizes harmony and balance. Most people are familiar with the Taijitu symbol, the one normally associated with yin and yang. The black half is yin and the white half is yang. Also, left opening bracket translated into wingdings is the very same symbol. The dots are representative of the opposing force existing within the other. In the example of Deltarune, the two forces in question are light and dark. But Taoism isn't necessarily a fight between two opposing forces. Taoism is about seemingly opposing forces working in tandem with each other, while simultaneously containing an aspect of the other. The sun and the water droplet are both present in Chris, as a representation of forces of darkness and light constantly moving inside them. just as they do in most people. The balance of power between light and dark is something that has also been already discussed in Deltarune. The way in which the conflict is described is that darkness is trying to overtake light, but eventually light is supposed to win. But like I said, that's not what Taoism is about. It's more about finding a balance between the two. As we can see, every image fits pretty well with something Deltarune related. That is the very reason why I decided to go ahead with this theory. But before moving on, I just want to say something, just so I can potentially get ahead of certain things. I have a feeling that there's going to be a few people who are just going to say, you're just making things up so they fit into Deltarune. Yes, I am. That is the process of visual interpretation. I'm not just pulling random words and making it seem like they have a connection to Deltarune. I also didn't randomly decide to use wingdings. There is precedent for this, and I most certainly did not choose the names for the characters. I am working well within the boundaries Deltarune has given me. Despite modern language, we still use images to convey a message, and personally, I think Toby Fox was like, why can't we have both? These characters are the most near and dear to him. I mean, there's concept art of these characters going all the way back to 2014. These are Toby Fox's OCs. Of course he put this much care into naming them. Susie is water across water,
And most of my character names are named after fucking bands and songs that I like.
Susie at the beginning of the story. Aggressive, patient, lack of willingness to help others. On paper, these are qualities that feed your own needs rather than those of others. These qualities could be considered dark and negative. But as we all know, Susie is more than meets the eye. She's different from how we found her. She now cares about her friends. She defends people. She isn't afraid to stand up for what she believes in. This leads back to Taoism. It's not the search for perfection or altruism. It's the journey for balance and harmony. She has too much darkness, too many negative emotions. Vices and taking care of yourself is fine, as long as you have balance. And Susie has been striving for that. There is also the more ambiguous understanding of darkness. The dark worlds are made of darkness, so you can easily assume that darkness has a hand in how crazy and warped they are. A carpet in a classroom becomes a massive wheel. A poster on a wall becomes an actual Ferris wheel. Darkness creates ambiguity, making everything around it more indistinct. As a result, the normal world can become a fantastical adventure world. Like the hand, every character has a level of darkness inside them, this power to create. And Susie has a lot more of it. When we enter her dark world, it seems like it is more, well, dark. Definitely darker than Chris's world. I think the extra water droplet is representative of that. The cross seems random until you consider the prophecy. Susie is the girl with hope crossed on her heart. If you've been following my content, then you know that I am firmly on the side that Susie is the second hero. The wording which describes the second hero, the girl with hope crossed on her heart.
This is not a theory, this is a literary analysis.
But what if it was more literal? Hey,
can people please stop calling everything a theory when they're talking about a video game? None of these are concrete enough to be considered as a theory.
Has a cross on her heart.
These are not evidence-based. These are fucking vibes-based zodiac bullshittery. That's fine. Like I said, that just means this is a literary analysis. Analyzing a piece of media through a lens of some kind. In which, in this case, it is in the language, it is in the analysis of fonts.
In this specific instance, I think the
it's strange, but there are no limits to what you can do with literary analysis. That's why they're fun, that's why they're powerful, that's why they're encouraged. But please, it's not a fucking theory!
To Rousey, who is more of a passive follower, Susie is usually the first to act. The first to spring into action when she feels like she is needed. Rousey has a hand behind the pointer, which could imply that he follows directions, like he usually tries to do, but Susie makes her own rules. Rousey is sun symbol, hand given the B sign, frowning face, water drop, left pointing finger, and another hand. Starting off with the sun, once again a representation of light, and the presence of light and dark, just like Chris.
God, the
The next
electric
symbol
keys are
would
literally
normally be
everywhere
used as a
here.
peace sign. Technically, you are right, it is actually the V sign, or victory hand. This hand gesture was popularized in World War II by the Allied forces. Specifically, this gesture with the index and middle finger pointing up with the palm facing away from the signer. If the signer is holding their hand in the opposite direction, but both facing outward, it is considered a sign of
Is
disrespect.
this
In the
mocking me?
1960s, this sign was retrofitted to be a symbol for peace. This particular version is the palm facing out, and Rouse is a pacifist, so I think we can say for sure what this sign is supposed to mean. Rouse has always played the role of mediator, keeper of peace. His entire MO in Chapter 1 is cooperation, trying to resolve conflict without fighting. Since Chapter 1, this idea has somewhat changed. Rouse has undergone a change in nature as well, a change I believe will continue in Chapter 5. As we have seen Susie get a new healing spell, Rouse could very well get a new offensive fire spell that can match her Rune Buster. Once again, we see even more Taoism influence. Search for harmony. As the two characters spend more time together, they exchange personality traits. Rouse being more willing to fight when the situation calls for it, while Susie moves more towards peace. Probably a good time to mention that Rouse literally can do a peace sign with Chris if he chooses to in Chapter 2. At least, I think so. Honestly, it looks like they're just waving. But the text box says peace sign, so that's what we're going with. Now we have the frowning face. A frowning face in the middle of
Rouse
Rouse.
doesn't have
And
fingers.
I've heard of this before. So Rouse is hiding something from his friends, his first friends, mind you, and when the secret is revealed, he is in absolute shock. Not only was he shocked by Susie's reaction, he was shocked at how understanding Susie was after the fact. Having witnessed Susie's kindness, Rouse becomes distraught, falling to the ground in tears. He then proceeds to hide his pain behind a smile. The smile lies on the outside, while the sadness and pain remains within. The pointed finger seems to highlight the first four images, grouping them together. By reassessing the first four images, I noticed another message from the prophecy. Sun, or the Lightners, live in peace, while the Darkners below them are sad, eventually being forgotten. Many Darkners recount the feeling of sadness and neglect, while the Lightners live in peace above them, woefully ignorant to the Dark World's existence. Finally, the hand is once again the ability to act. Rouse has been given the ability to act even though he didn't want it. The feeling of acting on something, interacting with the world around you, having control, these are new feelings for Rouse. In Chapter 3, if you allow him to take the reins for a bit, he realizes how fun it is to have control. So much so, he becomes distracted. Noel is skull and crossbones, flag, left pointer, two frowning faces, and another pointer. Skull and crossbones represent death. A flag is usually used as a marker for something, and the two sets of pointers seem to group the other two things together. The hand pointing left to the skull and the flag would imply that these two are connected, like the pointer finger is specifically highlighting these two things. Same with the two frowns. A flag marks a point of interest. However, flags by design are symbolic in meaning, which points towards the flag representing something. This something becomes clear if you take programming vernacular into account. A flag in computer programming is something that stores a binary value, usually 0 or 1. Delta in the game has several flags. If you eat the moss in Chapter 1, that's a flag. Find the egg, that's a flag. So now, all we have to do is figure out what this flag is keeping track of. Oh no. Like I have stated in the past, Noelle is at the epicenter of the weird route. We already attempted to try to get her to kill Berdley and that failed. So I wonder if this flag is literally a programming flag. Before you ask, yes, there is a flag for Berdley's health in the game files. Essentially, I think this first half is alluding to the weird route and potentially the future of it, as well as its inspiration. We tried to get Noelle to kill someone. When we failed, we gave her the Thorn Ring back in Chapter 4, so it seems like we have a motivation to get Noelle specifically to kill someone. Almost as if this is a specific flag that we need to continue the weird route. Perhaps forcing Noelle to take a life is a literal flag in future chapters. As for the two frowning faces, well, take your pick. It could just be a sense of sadness that Noelle has in general. Sadness from her parents, losing her sister, not being acknowledged as someone with autonomy. Sadness is sadness. Hope she loses that when she loses. Thirdly is A-OK hand gesture, left pointer, sun symbol, down, frowning face, star of David. Okay, this one is by far the most all over the place, so Just highlight the AOK hand sign. This hand sign is universally known across the world. It's one of the oldest known hand signs that humans have kept going. Buddhists use this sign as a symbol of inner perfection. Children use this sign for names. It all depends on how the orientation of the hand is presented. Therefore, it's literally the same orientation as the circle hand. You know what? I lost. And just in case you thought this wasn't intentional, now you look down, now we all lose. So, personally, I can't remember when this is most popular, but regardless, I just think this hand gesture is made to emphasize firmly and his child's pursuit of superiority. Chapter 2. Until he tasted his first success. That his life wasted. Like a winner, made himself feel like he mattered. Saved up from running away to claim victory over someone well. His light, the thumbs down, frowning face, and the Star of David are different. Assuming the thumbs down alludes to the sun's, then it is in direct reference to how Earth fought against the light itself. Representation of the sadness inside Earth. Just like Ralph said, it looks like it's more just tied to external factors rather than just who it is. Honestly, the Star of David could just be a representation of different versions around the same time. Yet they are distinctly different and celebrated in different ways. As you can probably tell, as we get down the line, I am now stretch farther and farther. It's fine, because I knew this would happen. Like I said at the beginning, this doesn't work with every character, but eventually, the character name is mostly apparent in the main cast. That being said, I think the are a good style for cast. It's time for a villain lightning round. Like I said earlier, most false characters have a skull and crossbow, which symbolizes death. And then it's the only boss that has as a result of the skull and crossbow. The name shares this quality with Jackenstein, a mini-boss from Chapter 4. El Niña and La Niño do not count because technically their names have a meaning. Devil and Irem are also exceptions to this trend, having no skull and crossbows at all. Devil is an interesting stand-in. Reference to the character since his defeat in Chapter 1, and unlike Spamton, we don't know anything about him. Devil is smiling face, left pointer, cross, and frowning face. They play on the devil and smiling faces. Devil is a round character.
Jesus Christ, by the way, what the hell is that? What the hell is this weapon?
Represent the crucifixion.
It's ugly.
If you are a follower of Christian faith, then you see Jesus as someone who was wrongfully imprisoned and charged for sins and fruit. I cannot stress this enough when it comes to religion. However, I noticed there are similarities between Jebel and Jesus in this way. Both of them were fooled by a close personal friend. Devil was in prison with the help of Shang, and Jesus was arrested with the help of Judas Iscariot. Both of them were betrayed by their friends and imprisoned. Queen is airplane, cross again, double pointers, and of course, the skull. Queen has an airplane in her name, which is very fitting as she is introduced to us while flying around. On top of that, she is probably the most advanced Darkner we've seen so far. Like, most Darkners are made of inanimate toys or items, but Queen is an entire computer. The cross here could be, once again, a reference to crucifixions, as she can be seen strapping Noel to a giant pan in Chapter 2. Not necessarily a crucifix, but you understand what I mean. Queen being the only boss with a piece of modern tech in her name would coincide with her object, as well as the cyber world in general. The airplane is a piece of technology, and so is Queen. Honorable mention to Task and Task Manager for also featuring an airplane. Gerson is the only boss that has a sun and water droplet. Considering his involvement with a prophecy, I can see why. Gerson did not write the prophecy, but he knows it front to back. The only regular enemies that share these images are Task Manager again, and Rule's card, funnily enough. Snowflake pictograph, or the letter T, appears in The Knight, The Titan, Tenna, and Spamton. He also appears in Sweet, but he's just a mini-boss, so I'm not going to count him. current context, this connects Spamton to the knight even more than he already was. In Chapter 2, you can ask Spamton about the knight, and after simply uttering their name, he begins to tweak out, seemingly in pain, almost like the knight heard what he was about to say, and shocked him to stop him from revealing anything. Spamton seems to know something about the knight, but it was scared out of him when he tried to share that information. By association, this would also link Tenna to the knight as well. As you know, Spamton and Tenna were business partners for a time until Spamton stopped receiving calls from whoever was on the phone. And finally, regarding Spamton, this doesn't really involve his name, but if you put a $sign into Winged name, it actually turns into a pair of sunglasses, which is also the item that he becomes after you defeat him. It is a very interesting detail, but I think that's enough for now. Usually, when you communicate with someone, you want to cast away ambiguity and send a clear message. The less guesswork your audience has, the more efficiently you can understand you. English is a very distinctive language. We may not think about it much, but we have a word for almost everything. You would walk with a sense of urgency, but you would say that exact phrase in another language. In English, you would say that you rushed, you sped, or you ran. Very distinct words to describe exactly what you were doing. Wingdings kind of takes that idea and throws it out. Wingdings embraces ambiguity. I just analyzed all of these images, and I bet you could probably think of different interpretations compared to mine. Instead of concise and specific words, we have indistinct symbols, pictures, which means can change depending on who you are. This reminds me of Gerson, historian, Lord of the Hammer. He started as a historian,
Not this again.
and then he switched to creating fictitious stories, presumably because it was more fun. Took notice of how changes in communication made people upset when reading new versions of stories. Lord of the Hammer was a deviation from the initial interpretation of the prophecy, just like Dragon Blazers was a different interpretation of Lord of the Hammer. Different people can have different interpretations, different ideas of what something should be. Just like Wingdings, existence and the passing of information is like a generational game of telephone. I think Wingdings represents that pretty well. The way we think, the way we change, the way we interpret is all dependent on how we perceive something. That's what Wingdings is about.
Fuck, right.
In how we
I
are
died,
different
so I
and we're
lost
all
all
the
my
same.
keys
It all depends
alongside
on
all
what
my
you allow
money.
yourself to see.
Ugh.
This itself is an example of that. I know that some people will watch this video and see this as just
I
some
had so
innate rambling.
many.
Some of you will revel in ambiguity. Obviously, this doesn't
I would have
mean
been
you're better
fine if it
or
was like
worse than
my
other
fault or
people.
something, but it
It means to
fucking
embrace uncertainty.
wasn't.
It means to embrace darkness.
I
That's what
was
darkness is.
scammed.
Uncertainty.
Scammed, I say.
Of what something could be. I have to admit, it's really good to have a consensus on something, but I wonder, if you were to plug yourself into the universe and listen to all of the thoughts and ideas of those people within it, probably wouldn't sound like anything. Probably just sound like a lot of garbage noise. Thank you all so much for watching. Goodbye. I would like to thank all of the Nighthawk channel members. Thank you, Lilico. Thank you, yyyy. Thank you, Phantom253. Thank you, Arlitos24. Thank you all so much.
Oh, yikes. Oh, I thought it was only supposed to be normal.
Oh. Mm. Oh. Oh.
Holy fuck!
Oh. Eh. Eh. Ah.
Hopefully that should be enough.
Hmm? Hmm? Ah. 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 Huh? Hmm. Hmm? Huh? Hi. Hmm? Ah. Hmm.
Yep, 600. Worth it.
Oh. Whoa. Oh. Ah. Mm-hmm. Ah. Mm.
I don't need the outfit, don't I? I did it for the love of the game. Uh, there's some bats en route to Goron City. Guess I'll go for that. Or I'm an idiot.
Hey! Sa! Oh. Wow!
Hi. Mm. Uh. Mm. Ah.
Why were they renamed? Gotta get out of there before fucking Mara dies. Well, at least it's nice to know she's still definitely alive. That was stressful. God, then there's still one more level. Refreshing my fairy count definitely feels nice.
Ah, mmm. Ah, mmm.
Now for that all-important third level, we need... Thank God it's just fish again. You're joking, right? You can only buy sizzlefin trout? That can't be right. I have to go do pretty much all of the Zora lead-up quest. And even then, there's only 2. Increased throw unironically makes these Koroks harder. There are indeed only Voltfin trouts here. Man, I came all this way. I got this far. No way, this is how this ends. I have an idea.
Gals, and my non-binary pals. It's your boy Stevie, and here we have what I believe to be the 1 bajillion trillion accurate Genesis points adjustment tier list. Now, what do I mean by that? I think that because we're going to get a thingy pretty soon, we are going to, well, we're going to get some point adjustments. So, I do think now comes the time for us to take a look at the format, take a look at some of the most popular cards, take a look at some of the worst cards, some of the best cards, some stuff that I think can come off the points list, or at least be reduced in points, at least to like a certain number, and some that should go to 100. So we're gonna have like this be the 100. We're gonna have this be like the 80 to like 99 range. We'll have this to be like the like 60 to 80. We have this be like 0. We have this be like 1 to 10. We have this be like 1 to 9. And we have this be like 10 to 20. And this could be like 20 to 60. I don't know. We're gonna adjust this later. Who cares? Alright, so let's take a look at some of these cards. Again, Konami kind of mentioned that like they want a lot of cards to come on, a lot of cards to come off, whatever. So we're going to take a look at some of the best decks, and some of the most used cards, and some of the cards that I think that have been hit a little too hard early on. And, first is Ninja Slash. This card, it doesn't make sense that Zexal, like F-Zero, is 20 points, while this card effectively is a side grade, but is still very, very powerful and arguably better in certain scenarios. So yeah, this card should definitely be at 20 points alongside that. Even like 10 would make this like somewhat fair, because the topic is already kind of struggling to fit in non-engine, especially if you want to play like Pyra. The Labyrinth cards. I understand why these cards are ported the way that they are. It is very easy to like port in Labyrinth. However, I do think Labyrinth does need some representation as like a relatively fair control deck. I think keeping like Lady at 33 is completely fine, but I think that the traps should be at 11 points, which is why I'm going to put them like right here. Because you could still then put like 3 welcome, 3 big welcome, and like 1 lady if you really want to, or you could just forego the lady, or forego some of these traps and start playing, and you have space for like Daruma King, Trap Trick, and Trap Holic, and like being able to neuter your engine in some capacity in order to like play it, similar to how Draco Tail does it, I think is very, very fair. Speaking of Draco Tail, Draco Tail Flame probably has to go. And this card could arguably be 10 points, but I think having this card at like 5 or 8 points even, alongside Goyamel, which is basically just Arthalion 2, I think this deck is just a little too easy to semi-port over into TCG, from TCG to Genesis. Like, we saw that a lot of people were having success with Draco Tails, a lot of pro players such as Schmidt, they had their success in their pods. Draco Tail Flame is just a very, very popular sideboard card, because you are able to treat it as like a really bad Solemn Judgment. You can like negate like stuff like Dark Ruler with it, which is something that's actually like not too out of the ordinary. And Goyamel, it's a Draco Tail name that just, you know, it's just a little too easy. It's a little too free. You could argue that this card could be like Secretarion Dragon, but I think that, again, hitting the engine is just very... I think that Draco Tail should not be able to just treat Arthalion as like a backup plan, as they're able to like just still recycle all their stuff with the traps, you know what I mean? Especially in this format, where like Goyamel's pop effect is a lot more deadly, because decks are much lower powered and unable to extend as much as they are in like the TCG. So Goyamel is a win condition on its own, arguably. Oh, it's better. Alright. Good old Flat Garden. This card should be 100 points. I don't know why they put it to like 51 or whatever the fuck they did, but there is no reason why Black Garden should exist in the capacity that it does right now. I've been at Black Garden.
What the fuck are people doing with Black Garden?
Black Garden.
I mean, yeah, it creates tokens, I suppose.
That I'm not showing, because I think that deck sucks. But it's just too good of a card in terms of just promoting unhealthy gameplay, and the fact that decks are still finding ways to abuse it. I just don't find that interesting or healthy for the game. Rescue Ace Impulse. I think this card should still be pointed. However, I think it should be around 1 to 3 points. 5 is a lot of points. Like, arguably this card could be at 0, but 5 is a lot of points for a card that does not have that much impact, you know what I mean? It's like a
Fire Keys.
hand trap, you know what I mean? It's not even a hand trap, it's just a card that does a thing. But it really, like as MPT says, it is a card that fulfills a very special niche in being like a lower power hand trap that requires you to like play it guarded. Wow, I fucking touched my glasses a lot. In regards to just being a pretty powerful card. When you're able to like unbreak yourself and like generate a free body to like maybe like generate synchro spam with. I think that this card does deserve to come back, especially now that like Vanquish Soul has been neutered and they can be trusted with fire, right? Do you actually think it sucks as in it's bad, or you don't like the deck? Both. Speaking of cards that can come back, I think Interrupted Kaiju's number should go to 0. Hear me out. I think that I like that A, it is a board breaker that is pretty dual-sided in some capacity, but also it gives decks a native way to out Luna Light Glider Dancer. Although Luna Light is not like really popping off, I really did not like how well it did in my tournament, so I'm like a little more biased against it. Like yes, Luna Light does in fact suck dog dick, and there are ways to beat it, such as Pragmatic Mister. But I think that decks just being on this kind of blind better habit is very, very frustrating. Didn't Lunalight win the Bologna Invitational? I don't know, and I honestly don't want to know, but I do know it won the first OCG Genesis Cup. There was a Genesis Cup at OCG they ran, and Lunalight won it, unsurprisingly. I mean, like, who would have guessed that, like, a deck that says, like, you better draw your fucking kaiju that you may or may not even be playing 33% of the time. Just like, whoa. I'll go fuck myself, I guess. Alright. Speaking of more dumb, unfun shit, we've got Retaliating Seed. This card should be at 100 points alongside its a little fella, Flying Seed. Contact Seed is 100 points. It's a Floodgate hand trap. Why don't we just get these out of the way before these cards, like, become even more problems? Just ban all the Floodgates. Ban Di-Fi. Ban Macrocosmos. Ban Mistaken Arrest. We don't need these cards. We don't need Gravity Collapse. These cards should just not exist. They're just a little too degenerate. Like, the reason why, like, I think that Mistaken Arrest should be at 100 points, or Joel Lockbird shouldn't be, is because your opponent does not have a chance to respond to this shit. It just doesn't. They don't even get their fake search. Alright, Archmage. I think that Dictatorius should be at 10 points. I think that the Field Spell should be at 10 points. I think that Venus should be at, like, 3 points or something. I think it is very frustrating how Konami very clearly has set up this new set to include engine pieces that are just extremely powerful in regards to
it still triples
accomplish
the level.
Card or
weird, even though that's not a thing anymore.
You look at older archetypes.
Everything is just 2 levels
just
now.
Fucked out of the format. You know what I mean? Like some deck, like the fact that this deck is able to end on effectively like an Omni Negate, a pop, board wipe, another weird fake negate, and a bounce off like one card is just like a little. Like why are we doing this, Konami? You could argue that Konami designed this to be for Genesis, and in which case I could be like, sure, whatever, but it's still like a really stupid concept, and I don't really like that. The same could go for the Radiant Typhoon stuff. I think that the main deck extenders, the bodies, these guys should be at maybe like 5 or 7 points. The same like Dodo Warrior is. This card should also be 30 points. Holy shit, this card is cancer. Having to play 42 cards, maybe like 42 points, plus maybe like 47 if you want to play like 1 vision. Very, very, very important for the format's health. Because Radiant Typhoon is probably the best deck to convert into Top Cut with, outside of like Automat. You know, assuming something fucking cool like Automat. But you know what I mean, in the sense of where Radiant Typhoon is just very powerful. Like, let's not pretend those fucking 3-point adjustments to Sakata King and, like, Total Bird did fucking jack shit. Like, this deck is basically full power. It is very unfun to play. Like, it's a strong deck, and it's not, like, unbeatable, but it is very frustrating. It is, like, the gatekeeper to, like, unfun decks. Like, the only things that beat Radiant Typhoon are like unfun degenerate decks. It's kind of, and this deck shits on everything else. And I think that like includes the like overall pressure, in my opinion. In regards to a deck being this 100% free and ignorant in like what it can do. Very similar to how like Archmage and like Music kind of play. In the sense where those are decks that are very clearly designed. Konami wanted them for Genesis, and as a result, Konami's just like, just fuck it, let them do whatever. Joel Lockbird. This card should be at 10 points, minimum. Absolutely minimum. This card is at 5 points. It's basically 0 points. We slam this into decks with 33 point requirements from Automat. This card is basically slammed into every deck as like a mandatory prerequisite because some decks just like auto lose versus it. Very, very stupid. Ronco Nimian, 100 points. I don't think I really need to explain this. I mean, it's a dumbass floodgate. I don't know why they didn't just put this guy at 70 points and Gossip Shadow 31. Like, I don't know. Fuck it, make it 20 points. I never want to see this card again. This card should be like at B. Like alongside Maxi, low-key. But, I still do stand by my process of like, the half boards that can be made under Drool are a lot healthier. And Drool does provide some health to the format in regards to what it can do. I do think it is frustrating that you can get like Drooled after your opponent does set up a full combo, and like at that point you're basically fucked. But at the same time, again, the same arguments like if they open like Ghost Spell, Ghost Reaper, Ghost Spell, or like Veil or Ash. Like it's basically the same thing. Alright. Pot of Greed. I'm gonna put this in like I'm gonna call this like 40 points. I'm gonna call this like 40 to 50 points. I think Pot of Greed has proven to be a little too good. I think Pot of Greed is a very, very, very powerful card. No fucking shit says draw two. The main issue with Pot of Greed is that it's so underpointed that you can put it into any deck for a pseudo draw engine, and that deck is called Radiant Titan. If you want to just play a deck that just says, well now I'm gonna shit out a bunch of guys, or my deck already has hyper consistency and we want to go even further beyond, you play fucking Pot of Greed in order to take it for your one-of fun-ofs in your deck, or your dumbass floodgates or sideboard cards. That is what Pot of Greed provides, and sometimes Pot of Greed into Pot of Greed is fucking pretty good. So, the fact that this card's at 30 points, so you can unironically play triple Pot of Greed, is just a little too, it's just too much. This card should be at like 45, like 40 to 50 points, minimum. This card is just actually proven to be too good. I'm sorry for ever thinking that this card is come back. My bad, bro. This is what Drool is stopping. Dark Ruler no more. I think this card is a little too good. It is like the best
Drool doesn't stop Pot of Greed.
I think that, again, it's a little too easy to just auto-slot to main sideboards. Especially versus like certain Wombo combo decks that exist in the format. Some combo decks just inherently cannot play around Dark Ruler. One good example is like Rose Dragon, where you have like the Crystal Wing, the Rose Witch, and like Bramble Rose. That deck natively does not end on spell trap mechanics, or like some sort of like back row interaction. If you get hit by like a Dark Ruler or a Book of Flips, you want to like you're just like, okay, I'll go fuck myself. Like sure, you play Dawn Drag, sure, you can't Dawn Drag stuff. This one drink the kill play. You can't let it be one. I think like Dark Ruler is pointed the same amount of points, or like maybe like a little bit less at like 7 points. The same way how like Forbidden Droplet is. But that's just me. Okay, 4 engine requirements. That should be pointed higher. 7 Tachyon. This card is proven to just be cancer. There is nothing fair or healthy about it.
Oh, I never actually got to the tower.
It just searches too many cards. It's a little too good at what it does. Little Goblin Bird.
Man, we don't need the map.
Too nice. Same can be said about Automata Kage. I think Automata Kage is like the secret sleeper best card in the deck. Just because of how searchable and accessible it is. I think that being forced to play less of
I certainly don't feel like I need it.
Arguably good thing for a deck that's hyper consistent as Automata. Speaking of decks with hyper consistent engine pieces, I think Writing Scale should probably be somewhere between like 5 to 10 points. Maybe another 5 points, so it's like in line with Foxy Tune, but we all saw how the Punk Teleport decks are just really, really good. I don't think we really need that sort of deck list to exist. In my opinion, it's just like a little too good. Plus, when you remember that this deck does have the FCK with like Black Rose Garden, things do just get a little too bananas. Same could be said for, okay, Luna Light Liger. This card should be 50 points. If you want to play double light, if you want to play Luna Light and then a Liger Dancer, that's up to you, bro. But the fact that this card is 0 points, while like Psychic and Punisher is 20 points, for a card that's effectively the same thing, except worse because it's not Raigeki and it's not actually unaffected. Like, oh my god, bro. That is stupid. Like, there is no reason why Liger should have 0 points. I still think the deck is not very good.
Hey!
Dude, how have I still not gotten a single tea? I made it. Hilarious what they did to you, Misa.
Hi. Yeah.
What?
Hi. Oh. Yeah. Ah. Oh. 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 Oh.
Ôi!
They refresh pretty much immediately, right?
Ôi!
This is a problem. me get to the tower. I got another soul before I got a fucking dungeon key. Treasure key.
Choosing the right deck is very important, but what many people don't put as much effort into
I've never
is
taken
the
this
right
route to get to
deck
the
cards to
tower
play.
before.
If you fill your deck with the wrong staples, you set yourself up for failure almost way worse than if you picked the wrong deck. So today I'm going to show you guys what I believe to be the strongest staples in this format. We're going to do a tier list breaking down the best main deck staples, side deck staples, and what cards I'd avoid altogether. So those who are trying to up their game, pay close attention. Now before we get into the breakdown of the tiers, if you enjoy the tier list and discussion content, please make sure to like and subscribe, as well as comment down below any of your opinions on the format, whether it be predictions of what I may say, or reflections afterwards if you disagree or agree with any of
Forgot
the talk.
standing
So
still.
this is obviously just one perspective. I'm mostly a Dream Until Played. That being said, I do feel like I have a lot to say about the other decks too, and how staples interact with them and against them, so it's not going to be just a Break the Tails. So I'm going to do this sort of category by category in terms of the staples here. Let's start off with hand traps. And less broadly, let's start off with the Ghost Girl. So I only have 4 Ghost Girls even on this list today. In past tier lists, I've rambled on for about an hour and a half, discussing every single staple that exists with Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't want to do that anymore because that takes forever, and so many of the cards end up in the avoid section. So first off, we got everyone's favorite, the most iconic, Ash Blossom and Ghost, right? This card is a card that has been at the precipice of competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Essentially since its release, barring maybe a couple formats like this. And this format is no different. Ash Blossom is a very solid card. There are points in time where Ash does kind of wane in sort of value. For example, around Malice. The existence are charmies, though, that like in OCG and National formats, Ash will always sort of be played as a counter to those cards at the very least. But furthermore, Ash does have actual implications in metagame. It's effective versus straight retail trap cards, can be used to stop spell cards, friendly fusion, all important, as well as versus other decks who can hit cards like Clumsy, this important potency and crowd effect monster. You can hit the Mitsuri cards to search to get started, or in the grave to stop them from reviving. While Ash Blossom may lose versatility from format to format, this is certainly not the case here, and the card does stand as a premium card in this format, in which it is one of the best main deck staples, and is something that I would probably never even consider citing out, maybe except against Malice. On to the next Ghost Girl, we've got Ghost Spell and Haunted Mansion. So Ghost Spell is an interesting one. It's one that's ping-ponged around main deckables, side deckables, maybe it's good or bad. Obviously, across its existence, it's been very erratic in terms of playability, because it depends on the type of engines support cards that are coming. That being said, right now, Bell does have its market as a format. Given the unseen Ghost effect is three cards to prevent light, and the effects, the revive effect, like Ash does, it's good until trap. They're important. They do a lot of things that make it good. However, it's inability to hit the mulch armies, and a little bit less flexible than Ash, which in my mind makes it a card that is similar to Ash, but slightly different ways. Depending on where we are in this format, it's weird. This card is either one of the best side deck cards, or an okay, or one of the best main deck cards. Right now, we seem to be trending towards more the best main deck. Because Dracotel has had an uptick in a resurgency, be the most popular and dominant deck. That can change within a week or two as Yami or Mitsu sort of retakes over the fold. This matters to me because there's about 3 or 4 cards interchangeable depending if you want to main deck them or side them, focusing down either Dracotail or the Yami and Mitsu decks. This is relevant because I feel like a lot of the best non-engine either isn't playable or there isn't enough of them. You need to find sort of tertiary best engine or non-engine cards. The Bell falls into this category for me. It's not broken, but it does have their uses. If you want it going first in matchups like with Yami and Mitsu, it's fine going second against Mitsu, and specifically you want to take against Dracotel once. Yeah, if I was expecting more Yami and Mitsu, this would end up nice like that. So because of that, I'm including this and the other cards that are going to be similar to it. The other 2 cards I'll mention those when I get to them. That's the side deck knowledge. You know, though, depending on the tournament and in your current place and time, you may choose to main any number of these cards depending on what you're preparing for. Next up, we got Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. Card which I looked decently fondly on in my last Heroes video. I felt like it was pretty decent at hitting the Vanquish Soul cards as well as the Canine Lupus. Now on Canine, yes, still exists, and if anything, may see a little more play now because Dragtail's presence. It's definitely not the deck to beat. Now we're definitely shifting of the staples towards Dracotail and Yami and Mitsu. Those are the things that your non-engine should be most effective against. Ghost Ogre in those cases is not great. Ghost Ogre is usable versus Yummy, but it's not brilliant. As well as if the Arclight is already set up, you can't even Ghost Ogre Nachi. It requires you to already deal with that first, which obviously
Eldritch Canyon and
the card is
Mountain.
effective. So all in all, Ghost Ogre to me feels like a card to avoid right now, as there are many other choices that same thing but better, and its range of choices of things with it really isn't that high. This is not taking the same approach as trying to beat Ripper, so unless that's how the format sort of reimagines itself, Ogre is a card I'd avoid. The last Ghost Skill I have on this list is Ghost Mourner. I've decided not to include Reaper or Dogwood. Talking about Ghost Mourner is one that has seen a little bit of discussion around it, as it's sort of a Ricochet counter you can play, and the side deck that's also broad for other decks. Main decking it can be kind of weird, because if you main deck it, it's not going to do much versus Yummy. First Dracotail hitting Arthlion can be good enough value that makes it worth it, especially if you need extra hand traps beyond the best decks that have higher non-engine or 60-card decks with more hand traps to average out decks ratios. Mourner can also kind of make up from that amount, where it's better with some of the rogue decks like Canine strategies. Canine VS, whatever against, but Canine Crystron more specifically. Because you can hit some of the more impactful cards or force the Ripper out. And I guess you can argue Ogre does the same, but at least Mourner has the main ability versus Dracotail. Makes it an okay side staple. This card would be high most anyway. This is the bottom of the list. Okay, side staple. Like, there's a reason to play it, but you need to understand exactly why you want to play it. Make sure it fits that. Okay, moving on from the Ghost Girls. Reach the Voltron. Cards have dominated. At least, where do they fall now? First up, Fualos. This card, to be no surprise, is one of the best cards in right now. It's not the best. It's not the best card. It truly does so much for the damage that you feel so comfortable. It's not actually so well. You feel like you can stop it. And if you need to tell for how this kind of plays out, just look at YCS in Pittsburgh. Look at how often Aditya drew Fua going second, and sort of overwhelming presence it had on the game. There's no card to give you a better shot going second than Fua. Numerous decks that Fua made up X up against, like Dracotail, that does slow down a bit of the plays, and it replaces itself the journey. It feels like Max. Something Hasbro, balance, the card is nuts. And I'll just let you one. Now the other Voltron is really there's one that is OK side stable right now, but it's at the top of the OK side stable. Fine. Why do I place it here? There are less some from hand decks at the top of that engine. Versus Yum Yum, for example, really on that engine, sometimes I see 0 draws, sometimes 1, sometimes 2, rarely more than that, meaning not trading super favorably in that matchup, and it can't be the sole reason for playing this card. As well as when you play it against the Dracotail deck, it does 1 draw or nothing. This card should avoid siding matchup. It is okay against Malice, which is a deck that is increasingly popular. it's mostly good against canine strategies. Most that's not can. As well as the sulfur cord versions. The ambidextrous sulfur cord in general. Obviously, pet cards, that summons in the head as well. Those decks, though, aren't the top dogs or the most popular decks right now, so trying to focus and build solely around those feels a little bit of a mistake. If your side deck needs things to fill out those matchups, it really is one of your best options. If that's not one of the key things you're trying to target down, then I wouldn't warrant pulling the time. This would not be your answer because you're yummy, but it would be okay to put in for ready. Like, next up is Meowls. So Meowls is one that I actually main decked at YCS Pittsburgh and at YCS Brazil, and it's card I've liked a lot right now. It's felt almost as good as Koalos going second against the Yummy variants, and it's something that I was skeptical on. I do think this card's actually one of the best side decks. This is one of the cards, like Bell, that if the format is right, is a main deck option. It depends on your deck, obviously, to some degree too, but if you're expecting mostly Yummy and this variants, Bell definitely is a place. It's a forcement into the half field while also accruing your resources right through set half field. Feels like the max CIS is intended to do. Except it's that Central Awkward, and this is the third card in that trio, 3 hand traps that I think are all very strong against matchups, but have their faults. So Droll is very good against first decks, very good decks specifically, overcord engines, and can be okay in stuff. For Strictly, however, it is pretty bad. It oftentimes does nothing. Sometimes it's off the key, but it's not a card that I would ever expect to do anything outside of out. Continuing on with the sort of generic hand traps, Pet Trailer. Next trailer, obviously one that Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to VG Mints, the online internet video game TV show that is beyond parody. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is a new 2D Mario, so naturally I'll be jumping on the bandwagon with the simplest, easiest, laziest challenge run possible. Can you? No, you can't. The end. I'm done. Wow, that was lazy. To be extremely clear out of the gate, even at the time I started this run, I expected it to be no way, no how, explicitly impossible. At least with our current knowledge of the game. You came to this video just to find out if it's possible. Congratulations, I just saved you an hour, doors over there. But I personally don't care if it's possible. The only way to know for sure is to do it. Can you beat Super Mario Bros. Wonder without collecting coins? The rules are simple. You must beat the game by defeating Bowser without collecting a single coin. And this is literally impossible. We'll also be going for a bonus challenge to keep things interesting. Collecting the maximum possible number of Wonder Seeds. We can thankfully very easily track with absolute certainty our current collected coin count with the counters in the upper left of the screen. If a coin is accidentally collected, that level attempt is void. You'll have to either
Hey, this guy.
Hello, Hylians. I am Nico, and today we'll learn about the 4 types of trout in Breath of the Wild. We'll learn what they're used for and where to find them. If you're new here and you want more Zelda content, I hope you consider subscribing or at least checking out the channel. And if you find this helpful and you like it, give it a thumbs up. The 4 types of trout are chillfin, sizzlefin, voltfin, and stealthfin trout. As a side note, you can get all 4 trouts from drops from Toon Link's amiibo, Archer Link amiibo, and the Mifa amiibo. First, with chillfin trout, you don't need them for anything specific, but you can use them for cooking. According to Crowan's cooking stats video, each one will give you heat resistance at a 2.5 minute duration. You need to cook 3 to get level 2 heat resistance. You can buy them at Zoro's Domain for 24 rupees each. And the best place to find them in the wild is at the water around Zora's Domain, and in the Tama Pond and Heber Plunge in the Heber region. Octoroks around the Zora region also may drop them. Next is sizzlefin trout. Like the chillfin trout, there's nothing specific you need them for, but you can cook them for cold resistance, each with a 2.5 minute duration, and you need 3 to cook for level 2 cold resistance. If you use an object map, you'll notice the only place they constantly spawn is in Zoro's domain, also for 24 rupees each. But the best place to find them randomly in the wild is in the water in the Elden region. You can find them around the Gut Check Rock and the lakes in the south side of Elden. You can also get them from the Rock Octoroks. Next for Voltfin Trout. You need
Start level, which very politely resets the game state to what it was at the beginning of that life, or in scenarios where that's not possible, close the game entirely before it has the chance to save. And yes, before you ask, that is a chord. Additionally, an important note, some player characters are not equal to others. The Yoshis and Nabbit are explicitly delineated from the rest of the cast and generally considered something of an easy mode. These characters aren't fully banned, but any use of them will be considered a demerit. You unfortunately will not be able to achieve an A rank if you use Yoshi. With the rules set, let's get this run started. After selecting the only moral character, we head into a quick and easy bonus tutorial level, followed by the quick and easy first true level, Welcome to the Flower Kingdom. Just beating the level isn't enough though, thanks to the previously mentioned bonus challenge collectible Wonder Seeds. We won't be actively going for the bonus challenge in the early games, since many of these seeds will either be more difficult or outright unusable without later power-ups. We can't be that picky though. Specific levels on the main path can only be played by collecting a certain number of that world's Wonder Seeds, making them semi-required for progression. Every standard platforming level has at least 2 seeds. One for reaching the main exit, and one for completing the challenge presented by that level. First the game, quick. Power in this first level just makes the environment wiggle around a bit, so coin dodging is still incredibly easy, except for the mini flower coins that exist only during Wonder Mode, and which form a spinning wall around this Wonder Seed. But hold on one second. Pay close attention to what happens when a mini coin is collected. Our flower coin counter goes up in the decimal digit by 0.1. If we exit Wonder Mode having only collected 0.9 total flower coins, the number rounds down to
Did you
0,
heal?
effectively erasing the mini coins from our inventory. Knowing this, we do a crouch jump with precise timing, narrowly squeezing between to grab the seed because there will be no submitting shenanigans. A coin is a coin. A flower coin is a coin. A mini flower coin is a coin. A big flower coin is a coin. A power-up that converts itself into a flower coin is a coin. A coin obtained on the world map is a coin. A coin given by Captain Toad is a coin, and Henry will be fine at night. The moment the Wonder Seed is collected, all mini coins despawn instantly, letting us fall safely and fully complete the first level coin list with 2 out of 2 Wonder Seeds. On to level 2, Piranha Plants on Parade. Before even encountering the Wonder Flower, we are presented with a tricky situation. Every one of these note blocks contains a coin, and said coins are automatically collected if you walk on them. The mid-air blocks also contain coins, limiting our jump height. Thankfully, while it's a super tight squeeze, if you get a running start to a medium-height crouch jump and perform properly timed mid-air spins, you can thread the needle above and below every coin. Will not be grabbing the Wonder Flower. This stage's Wonder places a line of mini coins along a thin hallway, essentially blocking progression. Outside the Wonder, these coins do not exist. Be careful to jump over the final line of note blocks, which also contain coins, and finish the level with 1 out of 3 Wonder Seeds. Similarly, the third level, Scram Skedaddlers, is easy to beat normally, but we won't be going for the Wonder. This one gives us the Star power-up, which magnetizes nearby coins, and of course, there are coins along the path, but all within magnets This bar opens the first mini hub area with a variety of levels to tackle and rewards us with our first badge, the Parachute Cap. If you're unfamiliar, one badge can be equipped at a time, and badges give the player certain bonus attributes, the best of which providing moves in our moveset. Parachute Cap, which slows your descent in midair, is one of the best for coins. See break time, hurry, hurry. The coins we're expected to run through all have 1 block's worth of empty space in between. Landing in these spaces would normally be incredibly difficult, but the Parachute Cap's slow descent makes it manageable, and thus this level's lone Wonder Seed obtainable. In addition to descension, the Parachute Cap excels at ascension. Heading back into Piranha Plants on Parade, that line of note blocks we previously had to do a tricky jump across is now a joke. This still isn't enough to get us through this level's Wonder, but there's a secret exit above this section of landing. A normal player would go here after the Wonder, which spawns a pipe useful as a platform. The Parachute Cap wall jump makes that pipe optional. Secret exits have their own unique Wonder Seeds, upping our count for this level to 2 out of 3. You're already encountering some seeds which are definitely truly out of 3. You're already encountering some seeds which are definitely, truly, no way, no how, impossible. Most obviously, every world contains at least one shop literally selling a Wonder Seed. And in a shocking twist, the only currency they accept is currency. There's also confident being scammed in the north refusing to move a curiously placed rock out of your way until you slip them a few flower coins. Since it's impossible to own coins without collecting coins, this bribe is impossible, and thus all Wonder Seeds in the mini-hub past this point are likewise impossible. Additionally, some level seeds require the collection of Wonder Tokens. Wonder Tokens are very explicitly not coins, and anybody who says they're coins is wrong and evil. However, since the Scrim Chat pointed out they do look kinda coiny, I'm gonna sidestep the semantics for now and continue the game without wonder tokens as long as I can get away. In Bull Rush coming through, keep in mind tall mushroom enemies are legally Koopa shells when jumped on, thus will collect any coins they touch while it's firing. If you let them live, the main exit seed is easy. But the Wonder Flower Seed, the secret exit seed locked behind it, are incredibly scary, tasking the player with riding on top of a herd of Bull Rush while mini flower coins rain down. Luckily, this is only difficult if you're good at video games. If you are instead bad at video games, you'll fall behind the Bull Rush, safe from the raining coins. The Bull Rush will be behind, keeping you back at a leisurely pace. The rest of the level, and the two
nice.
Wonder Seeds locked behind it, are easy, letting us fully clear with 3 out of 3
Clipping.
seeds. Here Come the Hoppos is easy, save for a minor note on the Wonder. The Hoppos carry trails of mini coins, which you can match by bouncing on the Hoppo. For them to be spawned, cleared with 2 out of 2 seeds. The rest of the seeds necessary to open the next gate, and the palace behind it, can likewise be obtained with little effort. That all includes fully completing Wiggler Race Mountaineering for 1 seed, Badge Challenge Wall Climb Jump 1 for 1 seed, and the new Wall Climb Jump badge, and KO Arena Pipe Rock Rumble for 1 seed.
We got enough.
Used to clearing the KO Arena, and all other KO arenas without flower coin rewards fast time requires being bad at video games. We now have exactly 14 Wonder Seeds, the amount necessary to unlock the Pipe Rock Plateau Palace. Within is a tricky line of coins immediately below a yellow flip-flop. While I've been told doing a crouch jump over these is possible, I found another strategy I'm more partial to. Head into the level with both an elephant and a fire flower. Hit the block with elephant, quickly shrink your hitbox with the fire flower, and squeeze through the opened gap. Bonk Butcher on the head to bank your first royal seed and open the way to the middle islands. This brief trip to Unlocking World 2 is easy and includes 1 out of 1 freebie seeds from Angler Poplin's house, 1 out of 1 seeds in the Dolphin Kick badge from its first badge challenge, 2 out of 2 seeds from Robert Cove, and 1 out of 2 seeds from Bird Roost. The Dolphin Kick badge is highly recommended on most water levels going forward, and not just for its speed, but for its secret secondary. Dolphin Kick sent the player moving in a straight line, briefly ignoring gravity, thus making underwater coin dodging consistent, as you can always be confident precisely where your hitbox lies. Within World 2, Fluff Puff Peaks, we quickly grab 1 out of 1 freebie seeds and move into Alma Way Valley. I absolutely must give a shout out to the Wonder and Secret exit where the stage starts rolling up. Multiple plot twists along the way. Impossible coins just barely fleeing at the last second. Somehow I managed to reach the end first try, banking 3 out of 3 seeds. That gives the 4 seeds necessary to open a level blocking the main path con darts away. Reaching the exit will be tricky. If within range of a con dart, they dive in a straight line, hitting any blocks in their path. If they hit a coin block, that coin is legally yours. We'll have to either lure the con darts into hitting safe blocks, or prevent them from hitting the blocks in the first place. By memorizing coin block locations and squeezing under con dart sightlines, we reach a big problem here. This downward drop ending with 2 con darts on opposite sides of 4 coin blocks. Squeezing past is a no-go since the left con dart will always see us, meaning we'll need to murder both con darts before they can hit the blocks. Bring in a fire flower and carefully clear out the upper con darts one by one. Once they and all the brick blocks are cleared out, perform wall jumps and shoot some properly timed fireballs below. Soon after are a couple con darts above trying to dive into coin blocks below. We can't run past without triggering the con darts, and the fire flower requires extreme precision. Instead, swap to elephant and use its much more lenient melee attacks to swat each con dart away. I'm not even gonna bother attempting the wonder in this level just yet, so we finished with 1 out of 2 seeds. Badge Challenge Floating High Jump 1 will require a few slightly precise jumps. I recommend intentionally staying as small-toed. The lower height helps with sneaking under coins. We finish with 1 out of 1 seeds and the new Floating High Jump badge. KO Arena Fluff Puff Kerfuff gives an easy 1 out of 1 seeds, then we head into Jump Jump Jump, which seems outlandishly difficult on first glance. A rhythm platforming challenge with rhythmically spawning and despawning blocks, plus coins that spawn in right on top. But there's a special trick we can use to cheese it. Coins aren't spawning based on the player's position, based on a simple timer, which roughly matches up with the player's expected position. The trick is, all rhythm blocks throughout the level are turning on and off into sync. The active chunk of blocks the player is expected to be walking on isn't the only active jump. If you enter the level with Bubble and do a spinning jump onto it, you can perform an easy semi-infinite bubble bounce combo. Spin jumps coincidentally automatically spit out bubbles with perfect timing on every bounce. It's only semi-infinite because you'll inevitably reach the top of the screen, where continued bounces are unfeasible. That's fine though, we don't need to go that far, just far enough to get ahead of schedule and land on a later active chunk of rhythm blocks. Since the player isn't expected to be along this part of the
Finally.
map yet, none of the coins will be spawning in, making it near identical to a casual playthrough and allowing you to bank 2 out of 2 seeds. I was feeling a bit confident in our seed numbers at this point, so I went into lazy mode and started making the easiest progress I could, ignoring anything that looked vaguely difficult. The main path and up and down with puppy lifts for 1 out of 2 seeds, main path Fluff Puff Peaks Flying Battleship for 0 out of 1 seeds, cruising thanks for 1 out of 2 seeds, countdown to drop down with 2 seeds, where you should watch out for the Lakitu since the Spinies it drops legally grant you coins from coin blocks, Expert Badge Challenge Spring Feet 1 for 1 out of 1 seeds, and the completely useless Spring Feet badge, and rounded off our break time with the appropriately labeled Break Time Kick It Out My Way for 1 out of 1 seeds. With the required 14 seeds, we enter Fluff Puff Peaks Palace containing the second Royal Seed and abruptly shaking us out of our break time. Halfway through is the most devastating roadblock yet. In order to progress, we must stand on the third of these pipes, causing it to descend, and you might possibly notice there's something in the way making that an easy bit difficult. We had the thought of going flower in the hopes it would somehow change up the section for the better, but it does not. These are still on the pipe, and the pipe must be stood on to get through. If only there were another way past the pipe than standing on it. Perhaps we could, just maybe phase through solid matter? If you turn on online co-op, you'll encounter a wild youtube.com/WarioFan63. And would you look at that? youtube.com/WarioFan63 is standing on the other side of the pipe. In multiplayer mode, the player gains the special ability to shuffle off this mortal coil by holding the L and R buttons for a brief moment. Your soul is incapable of monetary gain, and touching a living being resurrects you with some of your humanity potentially intact. Would you look at that? We're on the other side of the pipe, and on-screen coin counters are at 0. But hold on 1 second, this isn't the win button it looks like. For unrelated reasons, I installed a camera at Wario Fan's house and captured this shocking footage.
What's up, gamers? Darren here. On VGmas, I'll be playing Super Mario Bros. Wonder for the Nintendo Switch. My challenge will be to grab as many delicious Yum Yum coins as I can. Hey look! It's Game Champ from YouTube! Oh, this is awful. She hasn't grabbed an entire coin. Well, lucky for her, I've been slurping up all these coins so I could arrive at the other side of this pipe, thus giving Game Champ the boon of my incredibly good video game gameplay. I collected thousands of Yum Yum delicious coin money. Oh, I'm so happy I feel like shouting out my credit card number. What?
The moment we interacted with Wario Fan, we made progress in our game via the progress faded game. We're not actually getting past this pipe without collecting coins. We just had somebody else collect the coins in our stead. Not even just this specific level's coins that matter. Wario Fan has been collecting coins and making progress by doing so in his entire playthrough. This potentially allows him access to more levels and more badges than are possible in a coinless run. The only way to play online multiplayer and ensure that your playthrough is an absolute playthrough is if your online partners are themselves on a pure coinless save file. Long story short, phasing through the pipes in online multiplayer is only a coinless option if your partner has themselves gotten to the other side of the pipe coinless. Meaning, while the strategy technically works, it only works if you don't need it. Does that mean beating this level coinless is impossible? No, of course it's not impossible. What in the world could have given you that idea? All we have to do is stand land on the pipe without touching the coins, which may be difficult, but is, in fact, completely possible. The hitbox for coin collection and the hitbox for standing on the pipe are not aligned.
Maybe one level of
Coins hitbox
resistance
will
is
just
fine.
slightly slimmer. Skip the first 2 pipes with a long parachute cap jump, carefully position yourself, and ground pound to end all horizontal momentum, followed immediately by a jump. This is ultra precise and will absolutely take a few level resets, but once you stick the landing, the hard part is over. Crouch walk as the pipe descends to reach the other side completely coinless, thus earning the right to punch Butter in the face for the second loyal seed. Important note for the bonus challenge, this strategy will not allow us to obtain this level's optimal wonder seed. I'll transform the Luigi Toadette uses their mid-air magic and the ground. No parachute cap, capture the wedge trick 3 times in a row. Those jumps being harder than the singular jump from before, and will have no way to fight the stop. Probably possible in the my board of it. Nevertheless, progression collect 1 out of 1 seeds in Badge Challenge, Dolphin 2, 1 out of 1 seeds in Wiggle Ray Swimming, and 1 out of 2 seeds in Dig or Up. 8 Metal Isle seeds necessary to enter World 3 Shining Falls. We start off easy with 1 out of 1 3D seeds from Master Toplin's house, ramp up a bit with some tight
We got a
jumps
chesty
for
at
2 out of 2
last.
seeds in the Hoppy Cat Trial while hopping away, then encounter the completely impossible Great Time Unreachable Treasure. This level was properly named, and you will never in a million years obtain 1 from 1 seeds. We go back to easy mode with Poof Badge Challenge, Crouching High Jump 1, 1 out of 1 seeds, and Crouching High Jump Badge. Then crank it back up with the Midway Trial Optimus. If you ignore the wonder and just head straight to the exit, you'll arrive at mystery. Like the Contars before that, capable of bashing blocks and going to gain by doing so. Their jump in a certain range. Unfortunately, the range extends to the entrance pipe. So you have to jump to show where they're going. Miss the pipe above. That's where we arrive. Said wonder where you play as the Hoppy Cat yourself is totally pointless. Take damage away to shrink the holes on the hitbox, making you small enough to barely squeeze past some type of attack. With the seed collected, be careful on the way down, head into the pipe. If you were thinking we'd float to the right, that's definitely not happening. I was instead thinking we might be able to get something done by floating to the left, which was regrettably fruitless. Wall jumps still trigger the Hoppy Cat, and we can't float to a high enough point on the left wall to avoid eye contact. There is another mid-air option. If we accepted a merit and play as Yoshi, we could flutter at least over to the halfway point. Then, theoretically, we could work from there with some finagling shenanigans. I wasn't so ready to accept that demerit, though, and headed back earlier in the game to see if I'd missed any potential upgrades. While searching, I cleared the Anglefish Trial, Ready Aim Fly, with 1 out of 2 seeds, Cold Block Passage in World 2 for 1 out of 2 seeds, and went back to Full Rush Express in World 1 for 3 out of 3 seeds. This one's surprisingly easy. Most coins you actually have to jump out of your way for, and crouching gets the job done for the rest. Make sure your big Toadette to take a hit at the end, and keep a backup elephant on hand to open up the secret exit. Said exit unlocks Sproings in the Twilight Forest, which we sweep for 2 out of 2 seeds, Cosmic Combos, where we rush for 1 out of 2 seeds, and finally what we were looking for, the Jet Run Expert Badge Challenge. Though making the game far harder to control, the Jet Run badge does technically give us a new ability. We enter Coyote time for a second after running off a ledge, during which we are allowed to jump. While Hoppy Cats probably respond to Coyote time jumps no different from any other, it's worth checking out. Unfortunately, we only get the Jet Run badge after clearing the stage, and as I quickly discovered, that is ludicrously impossible. The first jump is easy, but the second has a line of points perfectly blocking the way forward. Begrudgingly, I gave up on the ultimately not even that promising Jet Run idea and went back to theory crafting. That's when we rediscovered our old secret weapon, which I'm sure you've all been waiting for, player number 2. At any moment during play, you can add in local co-op players
I'm done
up
for
to
now.
a maximum of 4.
But
To be
something
honest,
definitely
I didn't
isn't
have
right.
much hope this would help the run at first. In challenge runs of prior games,